Unless you stayed away from news over the weekend, you probably heard that 12 police officers were shot, 5 of whom died at the hands, or I guess at the gun, of 25-year-old black man Micah Xavier Johnson, who, according police, wanted to kill white people, specifically white cops. We did some YouTube-only coverage over the weekend. We know way more now than we knew then, so let's talk about it. Let's figure out exactly what happened here. Now, much of the news circulating around the nature of the protests related to police brutality and perceived racial bias by police across the country in Dallas surrounding the shootings, or the context within which this shooting took place. The shooter ultimately killed by a police bomb delivered by police robot. We will get into that more later. That also the subject of much discussion. Now, according to police, Micah Xavier Johnson was upset about the Black Lives Matter movement and the recent police shootings of black men elsewhere in the United States. The suspect also was not affiliated with any group and was acting alone, as best as we can now tell. Now, Lewis, you predicted this when we started doing the individual stories about here is one incident of a police shooting, here is another incident of a police shooting, a shooting by police. Lewis said, I don't want to put words in your mouth, but soon people will start killing police, and then it is all going to break loose. All hell will break loose.
Mm-hmm. It's just you can look at history, and this type of thing repeats itself over and over again in different ways, but similar idea. This is what happens.
This was the deadliest day for law enforcement since 9/11. I mean, this was no small thing.
Hard to imagine, right? I mean, it's incredible.
We have a few different videos to play for you. Here is one, and I will sort of describe for people who are not watching what it is that we are looking at here. We see in this video the shooter sort of using some pillars, some building pillars as cover, and shooting around them. And this video, I don't know if we have the exact moments where the shooter actually is sort of engaging an individual officer directly. I think we do have that at some point here. And the reaction from many, Lewis, including from us who were in studio with Benjamin Dixon when we first saw this, this looks like someone who has training in what it is that he is doing here. And indeed, we ultimately found out that this is someone who was a military reservist who did serve a tour in Afghanistan, although I believe did not see combat. And then, Lewis, we can skip video 2. Let's go to video 3. Just the total and utter chaos in the crowd here, reminiscent of a war zone. So as usual, public and corporate media, the public and corporate media, they want to find the thing to blame. Violence against black people by cops is the thing to blame. No. One racist individual, Micah Xavier Johnson, is the thing to blame. And for others, gun safety regulation and the availability of guns is the thing to blame. We're going to talk about all of these issues, and we can't ignore that there is a lot swirling now about the Black Lives Matter movement. And as we know, Lewis, although the Black Lives Matter movement, in principle, a group that is seeking to put the spotlight on very important issues, we have seen individual tactics used by BLM be completely counterproductive. But that doesn't even matter here. I want to remind you, this individual was not affiliated with Black Lives Matter. There were some early claims that he was affiliated with some other radical group, and I'm not even going to mention them because that appears not to have been true. And it's really, really important when we have these conversations. Let's talk about all of the issues that are related, but let's also not overstate ones that aren't.
You can look all over the internet and see people complaining about how, pointing to this, saying how violent BLM is. And I mean, certainly there are, like you said, there have been things done by BLM that are stupid and probably pointless.
And counterproductive, as President Obama.
But this has nothing to do with BLM.